Well, all right, all right, all right. Hello, everybody. How in the world is everybody doing? What's going on? How's things? Everybody doing all right? The live chat is busy. Let's see, how many people we got in the chat tonight right now? It's showing 13. Only 13? Come on now. I tweeted and Instagrammed and everything today. I'd have thought I'd have had more, but oh well, that's all right. That's quite all right. We're going to get this show going pretty quickly. Got a lot going on, and we got a whole lot to talk about. And I think everybody's gonna really enjoy it. 15. Okay. Well, now mine's showing 12, so I don't know. I guess it's not keeping up with the times here. I see a lot of people in the chat though, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my first guest in and start getting this show on the road. Hello,
hey,
Chris.
hey.
Doc Murdoch,
We
how
are
you doing?
here. Got a whole bunch of guys. Hey, I got an applause. Wow.
Yeah, you got the crowd loves you, man. Your crowd loves you.
Oh boy.
We got another guy.
Yes,
that's,
we do tonight.
In the wings, and I'm pretty sure he's ready to go. So let's just go ahead and add him into the game. Hello, Dre. Recovery One. Drone.
Hey, Dre.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing?
All right.
Can you hear me okay, Ray?
Dre.
I'll get a D
I
in
can
there
get
somewhere.
fine, Doc.
Okay,
You're
good.
loud and clear on my end.
Good deal.
All right.
A wonderful computer decided to say that my desk mic wasn't my desk mic. So I had to take a hammer to it. So.
Well, as long as it was a big one.
Oh, I got a big one. I got tired of breaking wooden handles on it.
Yeah.
I welded 1.1/16" stainless steel round bar to the handle, to the hammerhead. Worked perfect after that.
Yeah, that's one that's not going to come loose, is it?
No.
I'm going to start out real quick here. Bob Casey wins the Booby Prize. He was the first one in chat. My brother, Backwoods Droner, was second. So, yeah. Bob Casey's not usually first in chat, but he beat everybody tonight. He's on the ball. Jody, Drone Shots, Art, Brad Alston, going down the list. Captain Ray, Chris Hope, hello, sir. Brad.
Even got the other Chris.
Jody, hello, buddy. Jaybird, Jerry Bauer, going through the list, scrolling down. Looks like that's everybody unless there's people at the bottom. That Dan from Drone Worship. Welcome, brother. Don't
forget Sunrise.
And then I see Sunrise Water Media in there.
Yep.
Drone Line.
Hot Rod's in there too.
Hot Rod, Steve Mack. Yeah. And Art, I think I mentioned him though. So that's everybody for the moment. Close enough.
I think they're all interested to find out if they can fly at night, huh?
Close enough. Or fly at all.
Or fly at all.
That's right. It's there's a lot of interesting information we're going to be talking about. By the way, everybody, the links for everything you need are in the description on tonight's show. I was able to get them in there before the show started for a change. The link for the documents that we're going to be talking about, so that if you choose to, you can try to read along and keep up and follow up. And it'd be a good thing for you to just have it and save the link, download the PDF, and at your leisure, sit and read it over, because you will find out some astonishing things. And one of them, I'll bet, is one that Dre doesn't even know, and I'll bet he uses right now. But we'll find out in a few minutes, I'll bet.
Yes.
Doc, everybody pretty much knows who you are and what you
do.
You goof off and fly FPV and help people and teach people and Send things
Fly
to
things and break things, yes.
fly things and break things and send things to
Yep.
people that didn't show up, so they're bummed out and couldn't fly today, and all kinds of stuff.
Hey, by the way, did you get that in the mail?
That's what I said. You send things
Okay,
to
you did
people
get
that,
it. Okay.
that don't show up. No, it hasn't come.
It hasn't. Oh,
No.
no.
No, that's why I said you send things
Okay.
to people that don't come, and they're bummed out because they couldn't fly today.
Yeah, it'll probably be there Monday.
So I went out and blew my fixed wings today. I went to the airfield, and second Sunday of the month is the club meeting out there at the airfield.
Did you do better than when I was there?
Oh yeah, I blew my. In fact, I felt it's kind of funny because I've got a little cub, a mini cub. It's smaller than that one that we've tried to fly that day, and it was just way too windy. But anyway, it's about half that size. And
Oh, wow.
it takes off in about 3 feet, and it lands in about 4 if you let it roll out with no power. And I added flaps to it. So
Ooh.
I'm guessing that in a 5-mile-an-hour headwind, I'll be able to make it fly backwards on ground speed, but we'll see.
Pretty much.
Hello, Michael. Big Water, UAV, welcome. So, yeah. So the wing is held on by, I'm going to call them twist pins, okay? They're a little plastic pin about that long that drops down through a hole in the top of the wing, and you twist it, and it locks into a piece on the fuselage.
Oh, those are cam locks, yes.
Well, it's like a cam lock, except it's not really a cam. It's just it's a pin that twists under another piece. But
Okay.
So it's just like a cam lock. There's no torque tension as you turn it or nothing like that. It doesn't act like a cam. It's not made like a cam, but it's designed in the same kind of way. It does the same thing. So
Okay.
anyway, I had to stop at the hobby store because I needed to get a couple of control rods. I didn't have any control rod. I tried 3D printing one, and I just didn't like the way it turned out, so I decided not to use it. I didn't have enough control horns, so I 3D printed some of those this morning, and I put control horns on the flaps, and got out there, got everything tuned in, got the battery hooked up, got everything plugged in and ready to go, and put the wing on top, and realized that I'd left those pins laying on my workbench. So I had no way to attach the wing to the fuselage, therefore I had no way to play and fly that airplane.
What? You didn't have no duct tape in your bag?
No.
Oh, Mel.
No. No, we don't do things that way at 400 AGL. We do it right, or we wait till the next time we go, because it's just not that important. Okay, so that's one thing stopping me from flying. So I had another airplane with me, my big balsa plane. It's got about a 5-foot wingspan or so on it, with a big 40 size electric motor. So the electric motor on a quad is about as big around as your thumb, right? The electric motor on this thing is about as big around as my coffee cup, okay? So anyway, hello, Joe. So I get it all set up, put the wing on, plug in the ailerons and everything works. And the top front of the fuselage on this airplane, I modified it to have a door for access to the battery. So I don't have to take the wing on and off to change batteries, right? Well, it's a little screw about the size of a servo mount screw. And we have these, well, you saw the flight stands that we set our airplanes on. Well, I laid the door and the screw on the flight stand next to my controller. I plugged in the battery, got everything situated, put the cover on, reached for the screw, and it was gone. Nowhere to be found in the grass. So it's like,
no.
You know, something
it's
just
gone.
said, I wasn't meant to fly today, right?
Back to the duct tape again.
But yeah, you know, so now I might have used duct tape on that, but not to hold the wing on. I actually could have flown without that door if I really wanted to. I just couldn't fly inverted. But so I went to one of the other guys that pulls a trailer out there to fly with that usually carries 7 or 8 or 10 airplanes, and he's got 3D airplanes. He's got wingspan, 6-8 foot wingspan planes and stuff. And he's got
as bad as me driving up on a trunk full, huh?
just about, yeah, except this is all fixed wing airplanes that are big.
Yeah.
And he's got, you know, the little plastic trays with all the little compartments with all
Oh
the different
yeah.
screws that he's saved over the years of flying and everything. So I went to him and I got a screw and I put it together and I flew. I made
Yay! Hey,
two or
give yourself an applause.
yeah,
Got to
okay,
gotta have an
yeah,
applause.
yeah. So I actually
Yep,
did
there you
fly.
go.
And Tammy went with me, so that's the first time she's
Oh, very
actually
good.
seen me fly. So
All
that
right.
was kind of cool that she got to watch. And so I made about 3 loops around the pattern and then landed, and that was all I flew. You know, the cards were against me to fly. Something was telling me not to fly. And
Yeah.
I got it up, blew it, and landed it, and no damage and no harm, and all's
Promptly
well.
put it away.
So I quit a winner. That's right.
Yep.
There you
I
go.
quit while I was ahead. Hello,
Yep.
Lon.
Yeah,
So
Lon.
yeah, that was kind of cool. So I had a little fun doing that, and then we had our big club meeting and all that crap, and all that stuff going on. So anyway, before we get started too much, Dre, pretty much everybody in chat knows you, but I don't think everybody in chat really knows what it is that you do.
Mhm.
You fly commercially 100%.
Yes. Well, I have my own time, but yes, that's what I do as part of my regular job. I have incorporated drone flying as a construction inspector. I've been involved in construction for the last going on 19, 20 years now. Prior to that, I was in law enforcement. But as I've been reading up over the last 5 years, as I become an inspector, I've always been trying to keep in touch with technology, and I've seen the YouTube videos and the publications that have come out. Even in what I get over webinars and everything else, you hear about drones being used in construction and everything else, inspections and so
Right,
forth.
right.
So I'm trying to, like I say, be ahead of the game, trying to make sure I keep myself viable in the industry, because I plan on retiring within the next 5 years.
Right,
And I want to still be able to do what I do when I want to do it, not be punching a clock and do it.
right, right,
So
Mhm.
right,
that's my overall game plan, is to be able to continue to do this on my terms, on my time,
right.
and keep gas in my car.
Yeah,
Food on the table.
and food on the
Yeah,
table and
well, like I
props
said,
on the
the
drone, right?
retirement hopefully will take care of that part. But I mean, like I said, I tell everybody, hey, the mortgage will be paid in 4.5 years. All I got to worry about is paying medical. So I said, if I can do something, put a little gas in the car and take mama out every once in a while, I'm in heaven.
That's right. The
Yep.
key secret there is keep mama happy, right?
Yeah.
Um, so currently, under the current regulations before the new ones go into effect on the 21st, how much night flying do you do?
Well, because of what I do, I don't get involved with night flying very rarely, unless it's a special request of a developer that just wants to see his finished building, in a night shoot.
With the
I've done it
lighting
once
and stuff?
before for
Yeah.
a building, and that was the main purpose, because they specifically wanted a night shoot for that building. But normally, all my work's in the daytime.
Oh,
But that
okay.
was my
Okay.
question with this. Did not cut you off, Mel. My question on this test was, when I finished the testing part of it, it didn't have anything on the certificate or anywhere else saying that I am qualified, under, let me see here, let me read this correctly, part 107.29, okay,
Mhm.
which covers your operations at night. It doesn't say anything on the certificate for that, or even references anything about flying over people, because they're making such a, I would say, brouhaha about these changes, which take effect. I think I'm looking at the email here I sent to them about it, and their response was, let me read the last part of this response. The new rules that allows flying at night is not effective until April 21st. Existing waivers will sunset on May 17th. At that point, the only thing we waive will be the lighting requirements. That's
Right.
straight from the FAA.
Yep.
That is
So,
correct.
so that's what I was going
Yeah,
to ask you about. That's where I was leading into. Do you do
right.
night flights and do you have a COA? I know pilots that I flew with out in California
Hmm.
on the power line jobs that have COAs, and actually, one of them and I went to an island in Oakland Bay and the backside of San Francisco Bay, and actually flew our drones at night over toward Alcatraz. It was time of day. It wasn't quite night yet, but the situation with the clouds and everything else rolling in made it appear darker than it really was. So we weren't really flying under the night rules or even in twilight yet at that point, because the sun hadn't technically set. Even though you couldn't see it, it was behind the clouds. So the clock hadn't ticked that magic sunset number. But he has a COA. And we did do some night flying and did some night photography of the Oakland Bay Bridge and San Francisco skyline and things at night. That was well after sunset, well into civil twilight, and pushing beyond civil twilight. But under his COA, we were legal to do that. But the reason I wanted to bring that up is because even though your certificate doesn't say it, it doesn't have to. It's in the regs, and as long as you have the certificate, you're good to go. It's just like your 107 card in your wallet. It doesn't say a lot of the things that it could or should, but the fact that it's a 107 certificate is all it needs to say.
That's correct.
And then you're good to go. So
now it's interesting that you brought up the COA, because my COA for my area here in the city of San Bernardino goes from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. My COA covers my city.
But that's for your airspace stuff, though, right? It's
Yes.
It's not for night, daytime waiver use.
No, not just say class. Because majority of the city I work in is Class D airspace. So when I applied for my COA, that was the stipulation that during normal working hours, that would be my range. Now, like I said, in my COA, it also states that in case I get called out for emergencies, for natural disaster, law enforcement support, firefighting support, I can fly above the regs, and that way I'll fall under the
COA at that
department,
point.
police department COA or the fire department COA at that point.
Oh, okay. Assuming they have one.
Right. Well, I know our fire department has one. I'm not sure about our PD because we flipped over chiefs, and the current chief is not a big drone supporter like the last one was. So I'm not sure what their status is with the PD.
Yeah, okay.
Now, just so people understand where you're at, Dre, over there in San Bernardino, he has 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 5 airports that cover that entire area.
Within a 50-mile radius.
Within 20 miles. You've got Ontario International. You've got Old Norton Air Force Base. You've got Redlands. Yeah, you got Redlands. You got Riverside, and then you've got the other small one.
Isn't it John Wayne's over there?
I have a COA for March Air Force Base out of Riverside.
And then that's the other one.
Small civilian one there in the city of Riverside. Palm Springs is only about, I think that is 50 miles away. We have an old field, Rialto, which is not in service any longer, in Rialto, California.
Oh, really? Rialto shut down?
Yeah, I think it's helicopter operations only. There's no longer.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So much use out of it. I don't think they have any small crafts that come out of there. I think it's more just a heliport. And then, like I said, San Bernardino, which is my main one where I work in that city, and which extends down. I'm not sure if the city of Colton has a small field or not, which is just to the south of San Bernardino. But yeah, I have a COA for March Air Force Base, city of San Bernardino, which is the old Norton, and I also have one for the old George Air Force Base, which is now the Southern Regional, whatever testing facility they have up there in the high desert.
Yeah. So the two small ones there was Rialto and Redlands. So
because matter of fact, Redlands and San Bernardino overlap each other.
Correct.
Your COA though is for daytime operation. I should say daylight operation.
Daylight operations.
Class D airspace operation.
Right.
Not one for night operations.
No.
Okay. See, most people, when most people get a COA, they get it for night operation or a daytime waiver situation, so that they can fly beyond civil twilight or before civil twilight in the morning. But the reason we're on this topic is because if you have a daytime waiver or COA for night flying after dark, after the magic hours of the clock tick by, come 10 days from now, you may as well take that piece of paper and put a torch to it with a lighter because it's useless.
That's correct.
It's absolutely kaput, right?
That's right.
Yep.
The reason is the new regulations allow for night flight.
Yeah.
If you meet
actually, it's not just that, Mel.
If you meet the requirements.
Right. It has to do with how they wrote the reg. Let me pull that up real quick. I got it here.
I posted it in the link in case anybody wants to look it up and watch it with us.
What I found out, Mel, in the going through the modules of the testing, is that they have like four steps as far as flying over people and night regs and so forth. And it's, as they say, it's about as clear as mud if you don't read it very carefully.
Yep.
And that you almost got to read it 3 or 4 times to really grasp what they're saying, because it's not very laid out.
And that's
step one.
That's typical.
Yeah, like I say, I just did to go over to flying over people park. I know a lot of folks in here are interested in that also. Where they talk about step one, if it's under 0.55, of a pound.
Yeah, there's 4 categories.
Yeah, 4 categories. And they say, well, that one doesn't need prop protectors and all this kind of stuff. But you go to step 2, you got to have this. Step 3, you got to have that. Step 4, you got to have that. And then it goes back to the question, okay, at which point, because it never states clearly that anything in step 2, 3, and 4 is okay if you have prop protectors on it. Now,
actually, it does.
Yeah.
Like I said, you got to read it several times. When you first go through it, you're like,
maybe on the test they make it a little muddy on purpose, but in the regs it's fairly clear.
Very clear.
Fairly clear.
Yeah. Like I said,
here's that part. Here's the part we were talking about as far as the night waivers coming to end of life.
Let me bring you.
If you want to put it full screen real quick.
Yep.
That way everybody can see it real good.
If I can get that there and then put that there and then
there we go. All right.
Mic back on.
This portion of the regs here is the part that changed in Part 107. The section I have highlighted is Section D, which is the most pertinent. It says, after May 17th, 2021, no person may operate a small unmanned aircraft system at night in accordance with a certificate of waiver issued prior to March 16th. So you can't even get a certificate of waiver after March 16th for night operations. Under 107.2, under the certificate of waivers issued prior to March 16th, 2021, under 107.200 that authorized deviation from 107.29 terminate on May 17th, 2021. So anybody that did their recurrent test and that got their certificate of waiver for night ops in the last couple months has to go and get recertified again with the new test.
Yep.
That's right, to get their night operations again.
Your certificate of authenticity, your certificate
pretty
of
much
achievement, really.
Yep.
You have to carry that like we have to currently carry the letter that we got from our FSDO? No, from our testing center?
No, because what this does is it until you get your actual card, after you take the new recurrent test,
you won't get a new card.
You'll have.
They've not sent new cards for recurrent tests.
That's right. They did talk about that, didn't they?
You have to carry the paper to
That's
show
right.
that you've been extended.
That's right.
When I took my recurrent test back in February, I took that piece of paper that girl gave me that said I passed the test for the recurrent, folded it up and put it right in my drone case.
Right.
That way, my commercial case, because if I'm flying anything else, I don't really care because I'm probably somewhere that it don't matter. But in my commercial case is where my extension is. Now, the funny thing is my card has no expiration date on it. So I could show my card to a cop or something, and unless he knows all the stuff that's going on with the UAS certification card, he wouldn't know that it's not expired. You know what I mean? But,
yeah, every pilot's license that's issued by the FAA has no expiration date on it.
Right, because
None.
they technically, the card itself never expires.
That is correct.
Your ratings expire, but your card never expires.
Yes, you only go out of currency.
Right, without your ratings and currency competency, your card is worthless anyway, so it makes no difference.
That is correct.
You know what I mean? It's I used to be a pilot. I used to have a drone license, or I used to be a design engineer. It doesn't matter, you know. But the important thing that we wanted to stress to everyone that's paying attention or may watch this video in the future, pay close attention to these dates, because on May 17th, your COAs that you have now
are done.
Kaput.
Yep.
Finished. History.
They are done.
Nada.
And with that, the other part of the regulation that changed was where it requires, let's see here, you know, you got to complete the knowledge test, accordance with Part 107.65. The aircraft must be lighted with anti-collision lighting, visible for 3 statute miles, and that it has a flash rate. Now, prior to this, it hasn't required it to flash.
Right,
it's just required to have lighting.
Right.
This is new, having the required flash rate sufficient to avoid collision. Right. That wasn't in there before.
See, because
and then no person may operate a small unmanned aircraft during periods of civil twilight unless the aircraft is lit, visible for 3 statute miles, and has a flash rate sufficient. So even if you're going to fly under the, what do you call it, non-commercial, so you still have to comply with this part.
Right.
Okay.
Just to answer a question in the chat, Lon talked about carrying papers. Now, what I've done is all of my COAs, my recurrence, and so forth, I upload it all to Google Docs, and I even keep it in PDF form on my phone. So if anybody comes up and asks me, I can show them right there on my phone. I'm downloaded Google Docs. Says here it is, right here, all my current stuff, all my COAs. Because I did get approached by the railroad last month, and they were trying to say that I couldn't be flying over the yard. And then I said, no, I'm not on the yard property. I'm on city property, and the yard does not control the airspace. So the guy asked me about my license. I said, here it is. And I said, here's my COA. Matter of fact. And he's like, okay, politely got back in his truck and left.
You know, I had a similar situation with a railroad person. And Lon, no, on your 107 card, your first one that you got will probably be the only one that you'll ever get, because typically that's how they do it.
Unless you request a replacement.
Yeah. There is no expiration date on the card itself.
Nope.
Now, when you do your recurrent test, in the past, the paper that you get, the printout from the testing center, it has an expiration date 2 years from that day, okay?
Yeah.
And it actually is kind of like your car tags. It goes to the end of the month. It doesn't actually expire on that day. Right. It expires that month. Currently, the way the rules read. But on your actual card, there is no expiration date at all. Not to
That's
be
correct.
found.
To give you an idea, let me find it here. I got my old one. That one's not as good. I had to get a replacement license for mine.
A new 61?
Yeah, because mine kind of was getting old and tattered. But
so you're saying
you fly the Wright brothers.
So you're saying you taught the Wright brothers how to fly drones?
Almost. There's a few older than me. So everybody can kind of see. Let's see if I can get that to where.
Put it in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, it's gotta love Lumix cameras. They do not like autofocus. Yep, hang on. I know how to do this. Wait a minute. We'll just. There it is.
There you go.
Okay. There is no expiration date on this. All it has is what my ratings are and what I'm allowed to fly.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And that's how these work. Okay. So once you have this, then you have it forever.
Yep.
So,
yep. You have it forever. The
okay.
Quick, write his numbers down.
Yeah, quick, writing the numbers down. Yes. So, but yeah, that's how this works. So for the FAA, and as far as the dates, like you were mentioning, that is correct. Also, it's good till the end of that month that you were certified
like
for.
Your car tags. It's not like your driver's license that has a definite
has a specific date. Yeah.
Now, Dre, does your certificate have a 2-year expiration on it? The one that you downloaded from the FAA.
You know what, Mel? I have to look at it closely. That's how much I paid attention. I had to remind myself to even print it out.
Oh, because I know that my letter that I got from the testing center actually has an expiration date at the bottom of it for my recurrent when I did that in February.
Let me pull up on my phone.
So I'm just curious.
Find it.
Because it says that you successfully completed the recurrent exam, but what other information is actually there?
Usually they give a time and a date. Now. Okay.
All it shows that my current recurrent test was April 7th this year.
Okay.
There's no expiration date on it.
So there you go.
Okay, so they went back to that. I wonder when they'll change that and add an expiration date to it, because, excuse me, unless they plan on never having to take the recurrent test again, then
no, I don't think they'll do that.
It's going to expire in 2 years.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, the only other number I have on mine is my certificate number, which is some almost 20-digit long number.
Right.
And that's about it.
Well, essentially, they leave it on you to know that you have to renew it every 2 years from the date of your test.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I strongly recommend that everyone, whether you need it or not, it's free of charge. It doesn't cost you anything but your time. And you can probably do it as many times as you have to. In fact, it's a 100% pass test. They let you go back and
required.
Fix your,
100% required.
So they let you go back and correct your incorrect answers, right? Dre,
and let's make it really clear. This is for the recurrence test.
Yeah, recurrent non-part 61. That's very important.
Right.
And the link in the description is for that exam, the recurrent non-61.
Right.
Hello, Tammy. Dre, what was the process like doing the test online? And
doing the test online.
And did you ace it the first time, or did you have to go back and correct
I only missed one.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, I only missed one. I get 90%. Oh, I said, no, you go back and correct it.
Okay. So what was that process?
To me, the biggest easy part of the test was not having that $150 on the line. That took so much pressure and anxiety off my shoulders personally that I feel like if I screw this up, I'm out $150 and got to wait 30 days.
160.
Well, 160 some places and stuff. So that not having to fork that up was all I say big relief. Other than that, it's like going to a training class, because you go through the first module. There's 3 modules you got to go through. The first module is like a review class. You go through all the different things. You go through like maybe I would say a chapter of information. In the chapter, you get a little mini quiz test and so forth. And even then, if you mark one wrong, they'll go back and have you go and correct it. So you finish that part. The second part is a little more information from there. The third part is just the glossary of terms and acronyms.
Okay.
And then you're allowed to move on to the test. You cannot skip any of the modules trying to go to the test.
Oh,
they won't let you do it.
Okay.
You have to at least go to each module 1, 2, and 3. I don't care if you look at it for 30 seconds. You have to at least look at them before it opens up the actual testing part.
Okay. And then what is on the module part where you're doing the mini quizzes, what is the process for making your incorrect answer correct? Do they give you the correct answer and say, here's what you missed, or do you have to take another guess at it?
I think I had one of them wrong. It had me it's an incorrect answer, and the answers, I'd say there's only like 3 multiple choices. Most, I think it was 3, maybe 4 on occasion. Most were 3 multiple choices. You pick your second choice, and like I said, I got it correct the second time, so it wasn't a big deal. So there wasn't one that I missed a lot.
Now, what about on the main exam once you get to that?
Main exam, you took the whole test, and then you clicked for them to review it, and then it sends you right back to the one you missed.
Oh, if you miss one so even that one's 100% requirement?
Yes, mandatory 100%.
Okay.
So you got to go back and correct it to the right answer.
And it's all right there online and like a cakewalk through the park on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bragging anything, because I know the first time I took this test back in 2019, I took a whole month of studying. I was riding around in my truck at work listening to there's one YouTube video by somebody called B-Roll that just talked about sectional maps, and I listened to the Tony North, whatever his name is. Even though I wouldn't actively study it, I would listen to it in my head, just trying to absorb all the information I was hearing. Yeah. So I put a lot of effort. Like I said, my thing was, you're forking up $150 taking a test. I mean, last time I forked up that kind of money, I was taking SATs.
Right.
So it's like there's something on the line here that you need to make sure you don't screw up. So like I say, not having that anxiety is almost like going to a free class.
Now, what's it like?
That's what I feel like, going to a free class.
What's
you took an exam, and you got a certificate for sitting there for 2.5 to 3 hours. Because that's what it's going to take you to go through all the modules and the test.
Now, what's it like, I wonder, taking your initial 107 exam? All they have on the website for the FAA is the recurrent, correct?
Well, no, they have them both there, but like I said, I think for the initial, the process is still the same. It hasn't changed.
Okay. Yeah, you still have to go to that one in person at the moment.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, but they have it in the works that places like Remote Pilot 101 and others that are actually licensed
I just
trainers.
Put a link in my website in the chat for my website where there's a link to Remote Pilot 101 if you're considering getting your 107 for the first time.
Right. Use
my link at Remote Pilot 101. You think Ken Herron gets a good discount? Mine's better. Check it out. $99. $99 special if you use the link in my website.
We'll have to rub that into Ken a little.
Nah, it's all right. Ken has better hair, I'll admit it.
Hey, he does. Joe Baylock, he must be something into construction, because he mentioned the term CEUs, and that's exactly what it's like. Those who've been in some type of construction area, something like that, you get continuing education units. This is how this is set up, just like that. Continuing education units. And at the end of the course, you get a certificate of basically of sitting there through all the
that you completed all the little studies. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Bill, Metro Drones, thank you very much.
I was going to say, we just got shot with some fireworks.
$10 super chat. Yeah, that's my.
Gotta kind of brush it off a little here,
you know. That's my super chat cannon. What do you think of that? I made that little graphic
myself.
So, thank you very much, Chris. I do appreciate you posting that link. Y'all have no idea how much help that would be right now. 400agl.net. Link for Remote Pilot 101. When I talked to I got his card laying right here and I can't find it. When I talked to him, he was going to give me a discount where I would make a couple bucks if somebody joined up. And I said, no. Pass that money on to my discount so that somebody, I don't need to make money off of people going to Remote Pilot 101.
No.
I want people to go to Remote Pilot 101 because out of all the courses I looked at out there, including the guy with the hot wife and the photographer, that you, Tony, they are fantastic photographers. They really are. They put out a drone course where they talk you through the stuff.
Right.
I looked at theirs. I looked at a couple other join pay study courses, and they're a one-time thing. You pay for it once, you study it, you go take the test. If you make the test, you make it. If you don't, you don't. With Remote Pilot 101, it's a lifetime membership.
Yep.
As long as you're alive and as long as Remote Pilot or M0A exists, you will be able to go study for your initial 107 or the recurrent. Because I'll guarantee you, Jason Shepard down there in Florida is on the ball, and he's got that recurrent stuff wired. So you can, if you're already a member, you can study that, then go on the FAA website and study theirs, and then take the test. And you should ace it instead of just missing one like Dre did. I mean, I don't know about all that.
I always feel if I miss one, that means I could be humble. I'm not perfect.
That's right. And here's the nice part too is that when Jason was on Ken's show here, I think it was about 3-4 weeks ago now, he was talking about they're making it to where when you go to actually take the initial test, you're not going to have to go down to any particular place. You can actually go, like if you have a subscription with Remote Pilot 101, you'll be able to go on Remote Pilot 101's website and log into that initial testing, and then they will be administering it.
And they probably administer it directly. If you lived in that area, you could probably. He's probably one of the testing centers that you would.
I don't know. You know what? I don't think anybody's ever asked him that.
I'm guessing that he is because he's a full flight school, and that's where you have to go as a flight school. So
that's right.
I'm just gonna throw my hat in the ring for him and guess that he is, but it's a really, really good course, and I took it. I used it for my initial and my recurrent, and I passed the test. I didn't get 100. I'd like to say I did, but I didn't.
What?
Hey,
Hey, as old guys, we have barely enough brain cells to remember to drink our coffee.
Yeah, well, which mine's almost gone. Thanks for covering for me, Chris.
That's why a bunch of guys are saying, "Is that my moonshine?" No, it's tea.
Yeah.
Just thirsty right now.
But I passed both tests on the first try. So to me, that's what's important.
There you go.
I didn't have to go back, reschedule 2 weeks later, spend another $160.
That's right.
Blah, 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 blah. I was competent. I went in. I took the test. And the questions I missed had absolutely nothing to do with aviation.
Right.
Usually those are the ones.
How many grass seeds do you have to plant to get a clump of grass in an airport? Who gives a
I tell you right now, the one I missed on the recurrent test was the kinetic energy force of a drone falling.
Yep.
Now, we've got the formula for that.
Yes, we do.
And
I know it by heart.
I can't pull it up, but Chris, if you'll text it to me or something, I'll add it to the show notes.
You want me? I can put it right in the chat if you want.
Well, yeah, but I want to put it in the show notes too, so that
okay, I'll message it to you. Yeah, hang on. I'll do that right now.
And that leads into the next segment, and we're probably going to go a few minutes over on the show tonight, everybody. So
yes, we are.
Looking forward to going somewhere else. At about the top of the hour, we'll probably take a 5-minute break or so, and Dre's going to do some dancing and entertain you guys. But the kinetic energy thing has to do with flying over people. You have to be able to figure out what the kinetic energy impact of your drone would be.
Hopefully that'll send. There it goes. Okay.
If it fell from the sky. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
It just came in. Thanks, Chris.
Here, I'll put it in the chat real quick too.
And you know, the funny thing is at this moment, come 4/21/21, you can't fly over people anyway, so it doesn't really matter what the friggin' kinetic energy is. And I'm going to tell you why you can't fly over people. Because as it's written at this moment, if I am not mistaken, and I don't believe I am, I thought I was mistaken once and then later discovered I was in error. Dre's still thinking about that comment. I thought I made a mistake once, but later realized I was in error.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing you can fly over people non-participating in your flight is something sub 250 grams at this current moment, which means the Mavic Mini. So that's cool. A lot of people got
correct.
It. I just gave one away.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Mel. Actually, that even is incorrect. Do you know why?
Well, because you can the Tiny Hawk is less than 200.
No.
So
because the Mavic Mini 2 is 249 grams, and if you fly it for Part 107, it is required to be to comply. Comply with remote ID as of March 17th.
The reason it's required to comply with remote ID is because it's required to be registered if you use it commercially.
Right, but according to the reg for flying over people, it has to comply with 105 and 110, which means it either has to be designed as remote ID or carry a remote ID module.
And as soon as you put the prop guards on it that prevent spinning objects to lacerate human skin, it's overweight, so you can't do it anyway. So guess what?
Right.
All you folks that thought you was going to start flying over people, I got news for y'all. It ain't happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You'll get
I just want to address Lon's question earlier about the guy. And I tell everybody else, if you're in this as a commercial operator, one thing you always got to have in the back of your mind is customer service. Now, the guy who asked me about my status as the railroad guy, I could have told him to pound sand and everything else and pulled rank on him as a city inspector, because I could have told him, you know what? Let's go down and take a look at this construction project that I'm out here overlooking, and let me start nitpicking everything you got out here as far as your containment and everything else.
Oh yeah.
But my thing is this, that I'm gonna need to go back out there again and again, because it's a 3-year project, and I don't need to make enemies with BNSF over somebody asked me a question about, you want to see my license and so forth. So it's better to me to be compliant with them and play nice with them, because I can make their day a lot more harder, which they'll end up calling the city manager or something like that, and all the bigwigs talk and say, what is Crawford out there doing, throwing his rank around and stuff, you know? And I can say, you know what, let me just play nice, so they'll leave me alone in the future. I've already given them what they're looking for, and everybody's happy.
Sure.
And for the average person, as far as understanding about railroad police, they actually carry quite a bit more authority than even your local police.
Oh yeah.
So just bear that in mind. You don't want to mess with them.
Yeah, the railroad authority is they're almost like federal agents.
That is correct.
The railroad supervisor that you're flying your drone by the railroad track because the train's coming, and you think, man, I get me some cool footage of this train, right? And so you fly your drone, you're over the track when the train's coming, you're getting some really nice shots. The train comes, you move off way out of the way, you fly up, you shoot down, you do all this kind of stuff. And the engineer in the train sees your drone. Sees you standing there in your yellow vest because you're trying to be safe and professional. And he makes a radio call down the street to the train yard, and the train yard dude comes and says, what you doing, boy? Well, then you got to explain to him that you're a certified 107 pilot, and you're flying for recreational use, and you're shooting B-roll footage for a project you're working on, and, well, you can't fly over the railroad track. I said, well, no, I can't fly over the train. I can fly over the railroad track all I want. I can cross it, I can fly up and down it, I can fly back and forth, it doesn't matter.
You can fly right next to it.
I said, I'm just not supposed to fly over the train, and that's only in certain areas.
That's right.
In this particular area of middle of nowhere, South Texas, it ain't a big deal. But
that's right.
That's what I'm doing here. So now you understand. Here's my 107 card. Shows I'm a licensed, certified, not licensed, but a certified drone operator, blah, blah, blah. And he went away nice. He was okay with it. But by the time he got there, I'd had my footage, and I was done anyway. I was packing up, so I didn't give a shit if he told me to run off. But
now here's a little tidbit for those that do want to get train videos, and this is whether you're 107 or not. Do not wear red. Do not wear red anywhere near a railroad. The reason for that is the train engineers are trained. They see something red coming near the tracks, they hit the brakes, period.
Yep, stop it.
It's that simple.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Doc, because like I said, we have a training class, not with BNSF, but with MetroLink out here. It's a free class, and I have to give it to all of my employees. And we do graffiti work and things of that nature who go near the tracks, and they have to wear certain clothing and everything else. Matter of fact, most of the time they have to meet with a railroad rep, safety rep, to be out there working to make sure he has contact with any trains coming through that area.
That's right.
And they have to take a little safety
class. You can't go out there, you have a little
safety
sticker in your helmet that says you've been trained. You're supposed to make contact with a trained safety rep who's supposed to escort you out there by the tracks to do what you got to do.
That's right. So neat food for thought. Not everybody knows about some of these requirements around railroads. So, I mean, Dre, like you've been in the construction industry 20 years. I was in the construction industry out there in California for 40 years. And I've actually held those certificates and those cards, for the train, for BNSF and Southern Pacific and a couple of the others, having to work on the railroad itself. So,
Because people understand the railroad right-of-way extends somewhere 25 to 30 feet adjacent to the track.
Yep.
That is correct.
Is there a way to find out where, because I know that not all railroad stuff is considered critical infrastructure, which is how it's worded. Is there a way to find out if your small hometown USA is considered critical infrastructure or not? Is there? I know that it's not on any chart.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of time, the critical infrastructure will be on some chart. Like in my area, it shows we have a water power plant up near the mountains of San Bernardino, north in the city. Critical infrastructure. The what's it called? The jail. I live no more about 2 miles from it. Glen Helen facility, restricted airspace there. And now I go fly there. It'll come up on my controllers. You're approaching restricted airspace. Be careful. Turn around, whatever case may be, and yada yada. So same thing. It should come up either through your database that DJI sends down if you're flying a DJI drone. It should come up that you're entering restricted airspace. If it's critical infrastructure, they should have applied for critical airspace status for that purpose.
All right, now that brings up a good question. That's for people that have the DJI or any other aircraft that use flying apps. What about for the FPV guys? They don't use that.
That's why I say FPV has always been kind of under the radar, because they don't have all the I say mechanisms into that system to download the information, so they won't fly into controlled airspace or even critical airspace.
It's more the critical airspace.
You can fly FPV, class B, C, D, and it won't affect nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of people were buying Autel, because it didn't limit where they flew. Yeah, but you didn't buy it for that reason. You bought it because
no, absolutely
of what it
not.
was. You bought it because
that
was the product you chose that you wanted to get.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
that was the one Mama wanted.
And Mel can attest to this, because he's been out there doing work for different companies and so forth. That the most requested brand that people want you to use is DJI.
Yep.
Because they're the beast of the business.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
They
you go out and
really
do
are.
commercial work, roofing work, all this kind of stuff. They say they want you to use a DJI so you can use it with Drone Deploy or Pix 4D, and they want you to download the KML file, and it's compatible with this, compatible with that. And they give you a list
That's
of
right.
drones, and there'll be everything from a Phantom 3 Pro all the way through the Maverick 2 Pro. List of drones that they're acceptable.
Yeah.
And all the specs of the camera.
And
so that's why I tell folks,
that
you
list
want to
is
get in the
very
commercial
short.
side,
It's
you
a
got to
Phantom
play the
4 Pro
commercial
or a
game.
Mavic 2 Pro or an M210 or higher.
Right. If you want to even go with the enterprise level, something like that.
The Spark.
And that's why I tell folks, I said the Phantom 4 is an old drone, but you know what? The Phantom 4 Pro is the most requested drone for commercial use still today.
Yep.
Mel, what? You mean my little Cinepro won't do it? Yeah.
Well,
come on.
It will if you put a 20 megapixel camera on the top of it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it does. That has the Tarsier in it. So.
Oh.
Whoops. Keep dropping that camera cover.
So that was the other point that I wanted to really stress tonight was don't get your hopes up about flying over people, everybody, because it's just not going to happen. The reg's written in such a way that basically prohibits it. They make it sound like they're going to let you do it or they're going to open that up, and when actuality they really don't open anything up.
Matter of fact, I have that page pulled up right here.
The restrictions are so inherent that you can't do it. So
for the most part, category
Chris,
1.
Hang on, go over that. I'm going to leave you on screen. Dre, I got your mic on.
Right there.
I'm going to go refill my coffee cup.
There you go.
Okay.
But there you go, Dre. This, and for everybody out there watching, this is category 1. This is the part we were just talking about. You know,
right.
Small UAS must weigh 0.55 pounds or less, basically 249 grams. Okay, and that's with everything, and it has to have the props enclosed. So that means it's got to look something like this. Okay, get that in camera there, right? There we go. It's got to look something like this. Okay, so except for one minor detail, it has to be RID compliant per 89.110 or 89.115. Nobody can comply with that until somebody makes something. We don't even have those parts made yet. They're not available. So even when this goes live here in, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is?
10 days, 21st, right?
10 days. Yeah. You still can't do it because you can't comply with this regulation as it's written because there is no remote ID components. And the FAA doesn't care.
And that's why I said that, reading to those different categories is like clear as mud because one is contradicting another.
Yep. Yeah, everybody's touting this going, yay, we can fly at night. No, you can't. It's black and white right there. Unless you've got a remote ID compliant aircraft, you cannot fly at night. Period.
That's for over people.
Yes. These are the category 1s for flying over people. Correct.
You can fly at night, and that's what you kept.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct.
Come the 21st if you've got proper lighting.
That's correct.
Proper lighting consists of what? A blinking strobe. And
that is sufficient to preclude collision.
And the only one that I know for a fact, probably Loom Cube is a good one, but Loom Cube is one great big one. You can get a white one and put it on the top of your drone or the bottom of your drone so that it's visible for 3 statute miles. Now, I recommend, and this is my personal recommendation based on flying manned aircraft, okay? And when I'm in the air in a manned airplane, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for red, green, and white, all right? So my recommendation on your Mavic or your Phantom is 4 lights in total. 2 white, a red, and a green. You might ask, why 4? Why red and green and white? Because that's how manned aircraft are marked. Manned aircraft have a white strobe on the top and a white strobe on the tail and white strobes on the wingtips. They also have
or a red beacon.
Well, that's
on top or bottom.
On the top of the vertical stabilizer.
Or bottom. Mm-hmm.
Or bottom. But more often it's on the top of the vertical stabilizer,
correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Then you got the red and the green. So you go, well, okay, how the hell do you know which side's red and green? What side do you put that on? Well, there's an easy way to know that answer. There's port and starboard, and it doesn't matter if it's a boat, an airplane, a car, or whatever. If you want to name it, call it by port, starboard, forward, and aft, okay? There's only one front, there's only one aft, there's only one port, and there's only one starboard.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it this way. The words left and right. The word left is only 4 letters. The word right is 5 or 6, whatever. Right?
5.
So the word left is the shorter of the 2 words. The word port is the shorter of the 2 words. Guess what 2 words go together? Left and port. So your red, short word, left, port, side. Red goes on the left, green goes on the right, white goes on the top, and white goes on the back. You mark your drone with those 4 lights in that consistency, and you will be able to see it, because no matter which way it's oriented to you, you'll
know which way it's facing.
You'll see green and white, you'll see red and white, or you'll see white and green and red. If you see white and green and red, then you know your drone's facing away from you. If you see just green and red with a white on top or no white at all, then you know it's facing towards you. Manned aircraft will know. When they see the white lights and the green, they'll know that they're looking at the right-hand side of that aircraft, and they'll know which way
from the
it's
rear.
Moving. Even from the side.
That's right.
As long as they see the green strobe, they'll know they're looking somewhat at the right side of the aircraft, and that'll give them an indication of which way it's traveling. That's why I say white on top, white on back, red on the port side left, green on the starboard side right. Mark your drone like that, and you got it done. Why, Bill, what'd you say red is right is not red? No, it's green. I never said right is red.
Yeah, red is left.
Left is red. Short words. Short word red, short word left, short word port. All left. Short words go together, long words go together. It's real simple. So, I strongly recommend that everyone that's currently a 107 certificate holder go on to the FAA website, use the link in the description under this video, or find it yourself the hard way. I'm giving it to you for free, not even charging you for it. Go take your recurrent, again, even though it's not due. I mean, I just did mine in February, but you know what? I'm going to go do it. Because come April 21st, I'll be legal to fly at night without a COA or a daytime waiver.
That's right.
And I kind of like the Firehouse strobes. They've got little LiPo batteries. They're easy
really
to
nice.
attach to your aircraft. They qualify for the 3 statute mile. Actually, these are visible for 5 statute miles, if I'm not mistaken. So, though,
I actually have one.
And they strobe. So they
I got one on the bottom of this one even.
Yeah.
Yep, right there.
So they meet the requirements that the FAA has for anti-collision lighting.
That is correct.
So, to me, they're ideal. They're perfect.
Yeah, I have one on each of my drones, and I even in daytime regular flying, I put them on.
Now we always did. We did flying commercial out in California too on the power lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially if we were flying below tree line in a valley where because the drone wasn't in the sky, the trees were the background. I don't care how big the Inspire 2 is, that some bitch will disappear at 1,000 feet away with, trees behind.
Yeah, white and black blends right in.
that white strobe saved us more than once, I can promise you that.
Yeah.
Yep. Lone Star says he runs a white strobe on top and a red strobe on the bottom. That'll work.
That provides sufficient lighting, but it does not tell other aircraft what direction yours is facing.
No, but it does at least satisfy FAA.
It satisfies FAA. But
yep,
why not?
That's all.
Why not, as responsible professional pilots, why not just go the extra step and mark them the way they should be marked?
Yep.
That way it removes all doubt. You know, a helicopter flying by a mile away, a half mile away, he'll be able to see your drone and he'll know which way it's going. Yep. You'll be able to see him, be able to determine which way he's going based on the lights that you can see on his aircraft. And then you know if he's coming at you, you need to get the hell out of the sky and get out of his way, right?
What's interesting is on the smaller full-size helicopters, they put those red and green lights on the little tiny horizontal stabilizer on the tailbone of that helicopter.
Doesn't matter where they put them.
No. What's interesting is that on the small versions, you know, on the smaller little 2-seat ones, that little horizontal stabilizer is like 3 or 4 feet across. It's not much bigger than some of the larger drones.
Right.
And you can see those lights coming.
Yep.
So, food for thought.
They too have to be visible for a minimum of 3 statute miles.
That is correct.
It's hello, Greg.
Bless you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bless you. So that's my recommendation when I fly in civil twilight. That's how I mark my drone. That way, there's no question to manned aircraft when they see the green strobe and the white strobe, they know what they're looking at. They're looking at some sort of an aircraft, and they know which way it's pointed.
That's right.
Or if they see the red strobe, then they know it's pointed this way. So it just removes all doubt for the other people. What do you have when you remove all doubt? You have more safety.
Yep.
Right.
My humble opinion, y'all, but that's what it is.
And Greg down there in Oz, you know, he's flying these solar powered lights, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the tough part is you got to put more batteries in it to charge, Greg. Come on.
You know, some people just get way too far into the technology hacking stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, we won't talk about too much of that now, will we?
No, we'll keep going. Yeah, we'll
especially if you could see above my camera, you know, with all this stuff on the wall up here.
So,
Dre would get a kick out of that. Here, let's see if I can do that real quick.
Oh,
there you go. That's just the ones that
you were showing a clip of your Excalibur, I think it's called.
Yes.
You almost crashed with somebody down in Florida.
I didn't see that clip yet. I've been looking for it. I haven't seen it yet.
They slowed it down to almost 1 frame at a time. And I think
really?
They showed it on those guys last week or so. And as soon as they stopped the frame, I saw the bird and I said, "Oh, that's Doc Murdoch's bird." We got one of those and stuff. He's talking about, I think it was Eddie. Somebody was flying it, and you guys are coming right at each other.
Wow, I'll have to go find that. So
where's that video at, Dre?
They showed it on those guys. I think it was like maybe either Herman's show about a week ago or on the Sunday night show about a week or 2 ago. They showed that.
Wow.
As soon as they stopped the footage, I said, "Oh, that's Doc Murdoch's drone."
Yeah.
they couldn't remember whose drone it was. And I'm like, "Oh, I know that drone."
Yeah. Kind of hard to miss that big yellow thing, huh?
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh goodness.
So
that wouldn't be the first time.
So what are we taking away? We're about to wrap this up pretty soon, guys.
Well, let's go over real quick the 4 categories so everybody understands. The first one we've already covered. Okay.
Yep.
The next 2 categories, category 2 and 3. Okay. Let me scroll up here. Got to get it where. There we go. All right. And there we go. All right. Category 2. Small UAS must be designed, produced, or modified and have a declaration of compliance. This is key, guys. This is not something that is simple. You have to actually petition FAA for this certificate of compliance. And the FAA has to approve it before you can even use it.
Now, that's on your home build stuff. Now, on manufacturer stuff, that's their problem.
Yes, but they still have to do the same thing. It still has to go through the same process.
Well, that's what I mean. Okay? But, so if you're a manufacturer, you get the certificate of compliance. You sell the drone commercially to your customers.
To your
They're
customer.
fat, dumb, and happy. They're covered. Okay.
That is correct. Oops, wrong way.
This only applies to stuff that you have to worry about in a way that it's something that you build yourself, that you plan on flying commercially.
That's right. And then what it also covers is the kinetic energy thing is back again, but it's higher. It's up to 11 pounds of kinetic energy. So you guys can go back and read the chat and do the math. Okay. Does not contain any exposed rotating parts. That means it's got to be, guarded props again. All right.
Or, ducted or guarded. Yep.
Correct. And it also has to be remote ID compliant again, 89.110 or 89.115. So it's got to comply with all of these requirements before you can fly for Category 2. Then and that's also for open air. Now this is the first category was not for open air in the same way. It's for an open area, but not directly over a large gathering. Okay. This one here states must not operate small unmanned aircraft over open air assemblies of human beings. It specifically states you can't. So that's a neat little tidbit there for Category 2.
Do that again.
All right. Section F right here. Let me see if I can get it to do it here. There we go. Section F says must not operate the small unmanned aircraft over open air assemblies of human beings.
Right.
Specifically states it.
Now that specifically says open air. So
correct.
If you're an enclosed stadium,
that is correct.
That's a different story.
Right. And then let's see here. May only operate small unmanned aircraft above any human being if the operation is within or over a closed or restricted access site. So basically, if you're on set for a movie shoot, commercial shoot, whatever it may be, construction site where everybody is notified, hey, we've got drone operations overhead, and just be aware of that, you're good. That's effectively what they're saying. They have to be notified.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so what that does is that opens up people like me and Dre that do construction flying.
That is correct.
The superintendent, the job super, knows you're there.
That is correct.
He's the reason you're there, probably, or involved with the reason that you're there. And he can notify all the
employees
that there's drone operations today. Make sure you wear your hard hat, even if you're not in a hard hat area, just in case.
Exactly. Just be aware.
And that frees us up to being able to technically fly over people that are not part of the flight operation.
That is correct. So long as they are notified and it's in a confined area, such as a construction site,
right,
where the superintendent has control over everybody that's on that site. Nobody on that site is there that's not supposed to be there.
Right.
So that's what that covers.
And they're usually fenced with like 8 or 10 foot fences to keep everybody else out. So it's all good.
Most sites are. So Category 3 now, it's effectively the same as Category 2, but the weight's different. And that's under Part A. It says, will not cause injury to a human being that is equivalent to or greater than severity of the injury caused by a transfer of 25 foot-pounds of kinetic energy upon impact from a rigid object.
Well, that's a good thing. That would
we haven't done the math on any of this. I haven't even done the math on any of this. But I can tell you this much. You take a Phantom 4 and weigh it. What does it weigh, Mel? You've got one, don't you?
No, I had one. I don't have one anymore.
Dre, you've got a Phantom 4, right?
Yeah, it's about just under 5 pounds. About
just under 5 pounds.
Let's say 5 pounds.
Okay. So it's 5 times however fast times 2 divided by 2. Mm-hmm. So if that thing's moving at, let's say, 10 miles an hour, okay, that's 20 times 5, that's 50 divided by 2. That's your 25 pounds of impact force right there.
Yep.
10 miles an hour with a Phantom 4.
So now you know why I got that question wrong.
Ah.
They didn't give me a calculator.
The truth comes out.
Sorry, I did that in my head. But yeah, I know that only because I was actually contemplating doing battle bots, and I had to know the kinetic energy impact force thing. So I memorized it.
Now, something else that I didn't see in the regs, Chris, is nowhere do they define what an assembly is. Okay?
No, they do not.
An assembly could be considered a football stadium.
That's right.
It could be considered a baseball diamond at the park.
That is correct. Now that brings up an interesting point. A football stadium and a baseball field stadium, commercial stadium, professionals, that is a confined area because there is nobody inside there that doesn't belong there. And if they put that notification on your ticket when you pay for your fee to come in and say there will be drone operations over at the stadium, you are forewarned.
Yep.
That satisfies the FAA regulation.
But it still has to have remote ID, does it not?
Biggest comparison be like concert, large outdoor concerts like Coachella.
Yeah, see, that was the other thing. Another assembly might be an outdoor concert.
Right.
So, Glen Helen's a good example for Dre. All right. Glen Helen puts on those big outdoor concerts, right?
Right.
Nobody inside the grass areas there at Glen Helen is not supposed to be there. They all go through a gate. And when they walk through that gate, they get handed their ticket. The ticket specifically states on it that there will be drone operations overhead during the concert. That satisfies FAA regulation.
As long as the aircraft is remote ID compliant.
Compliant, that's correct. But that part satisfies the regulation for notification.
Right.
Okay, and that's how you do it. Now,
and it has to be something smaller than a Phantom.
Well, kind of. Where this will become a problem is, say, like out at the beaches.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you fly over a populated beach? That area is not confined. There's no way to notify all the people down there. So the only thing you can do is fly offshore. You can't fly directly over the beach.
Where you're over the people, exactly.
That is correct.
But that you can do now.
That is correct.
I mean, I've done it. I mean, I've been feet from the border of a military installation flying over the beach. So it's
and Lon made a point about that. It also says assemblies. Well, anytime you get an assembly,
assemblies.
Right. A good example of an assembly that would be not controlled, in a confined area would be like a graduation, like Lon said.
Yeah.
So you would not be able to fly over that without a way of notifying everybody in the graduation that's coming to view the graduation that there will be drone operations overhead.
Or participating in the graduation. Everyone on
That's correct. Everyone.
At the facility has to be notified.
Right. That's right. Now, like Lon said, if entry's controlled, that's a different issue because now you can notify every single person walking inside that fenced area.
Yep.
That then becomes an enclosed, controlled area. So, Hot Rod Daytona says, I fly offshore internationally to avoid people. Yep, and that's perfectly legit and perfectly legal. So,
online international water starts at 3 miles.
That's right.
He said intentionally, not internationally, guys.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come on. I like the international part better.
It did sound good.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Joe Blaylock also says, like no local parades. That's correct. You would not be able to fly over a parade because you have no control over who is there and how to notify them. It's not a controlled environment.
Buildings, as long as you stay over buildings or structures.
That's correct.
Or structures that protect the people on the ground.
Right.
Then you're good.
Like if you were to take off from a walk bridge that crossed over a road that the parade was going down, you could take off and stay directly over that bridge so long as nobody else was on the bridge, and you could go up to however high you needed to or wanted to and record that parade as it came right at you.
Yep.
So that would be perfectly legit.
And I recorded a Christmas parade with my, I can't remember if I was flying the Inspire or the Mavic. I think I was flying the Inspire. And I was across the street from the courthouse, which is also the county jail.
Wow, man.
But everybody from the courthouse was in the Christmas parade, so it was all good.
Yep, there you go. Well, here's the other little tidbit on the Category 3 thing that throws a monkey wrench into operations at this level. And mind you, this would be the level where you would be flying a Phantom or a Mavic or anything of that size.
Right.
Is Section D. And what it states is you have to have an operational manual that is transferable upon sale and covers all operational features, functions, and safety inspection procedures for continued use in Cat 3. Now, just so everybody understands, what I've got highlighted here is not verbatim. I had to go in and condense it enough to make it presentable, so that way everybody knows this isn't verbatim off of the regs, but the wording is verbatim off the regs. I just had to put stuff together so everybody could understand it better. And it must not, it must not operate the small aircraft over open air assemblies of human beings. That's what we were just talking about.
Yep.
Operations must be within or over enclosed or restricted areas. And the last thing is the small aircraft does not maintain sustained flight over any human being unless that human is directly participating in the operation.
Right.
So
which
effectively,
means you can't just hover. You have to be moving.
That's correct. Now you can hover over, let's say like out at Glen Helen, they've got the big concession areas. You could park that thing over a concession stand, which has nobody under it other than a building. You could sit there if you wanted to for a time.
Yeah, but
then as you move, correct. But then as you move off, you have to be in continuous motion as you move over the crowd.
And there is one, I read, if I understood it correctly, there is one stipulation that does not require that everyone be aware of the flight and all that, is if you are transversing that airspace. In other words, you're not flying in there to fly the event. That event's in your way for where you got to go. You can fly across it and keep on going.
That's correct. Yeah, transitioning an airspace is perfectly legit. Because you're not there for that. You are moving from one location to another. But it's still good to have it if you're licensed for it.
Yeah.
Then you got Cat 4. Category 4 is very interesting, guys. This one, it specifically states, you got to be 107 certified, and the aircraft has to be eligible for Cat 4 operations and remote ID compliant, just like all the other ones. But where it differs is in number 2. It says the small UAS must have an airworthiness certificate. That is big, and that's huge, because now you have to comply with Part 21 and Part 21, Part 61, Part 91, and a few other ones, in the regulations.
140 for the maintenance. And
now Doc, wouldn't that fall under the FCC filings?
No, this is all FAA.
Nothing to do with FCC.
Okay,
this is all FAA.
I guess what I'm getting towards that, when they submit their FCC filings for their approval, aren't they stating the airworthiness at that point?
No. FCC only controls radio frequency. Right. So that only controls their command and control and video transmission. That's it.
They have to provide the airworthiness certificate to the FAA. The manufacturer would have to do that.
That's correct.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. That by you buying something off the shelf ready to fly, you're covered because the manufacturer had to submit the documentation.
That is correct.
That process.
But here's the catch: the regulations do allow for me to take this right here and make it Category 4 compliant.
Yep.
I just have to go through the process of Part 21, Part 61, Part 91, and all the other once.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And comply with all the regulations for the manufacturer of that aircraft.
Yeah.
So
And that's why I say FPV is such a, I would say, under the radar in the shadows, because there's
Not
so many other different
anymore.
rigs.
not anymore.
Well, not anymore, but I'm saying just
Nope.
enforcement's always going to be the issue.
Enforcement has always been the issue.
Yeah,
Right. And I say,
always
how do
has
you
and
how do
always
you
will be.
wrangle in all these guys who have been doing FPV for years and all these new people who are getting into it now that
Well,
DJI has dipped his toe in the
yeah.
water?
See, the interesting part about this is that even though this is FPV, all right. So let's see here. Let's get this in frame. This is FPV, but it can also be used for commercial. So it still falls under all these regulations for 107.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can fly, I can chase cars, I can chase aircraft, I can chase anything. I can make runs down areas that you cannot do with a camera drone because of the nature of the the software that controls it.
Yeah.
So
and the speed that it can fly.
And the speeds, that's correct. This thing will do 99.99999 miles per hour.
Good point. Good point.
You cannot do that with almost any other DJI equipment except for one. And it still only does less than this.
Right.
So,
and that's why I'm getting into that. Now that DJI has dipped his toe into present a product that is a gateway product to people going to the full self-build, higher rates of speed and everything else, that people just go out there and start buying parts from whoever and wherever, and not be paying attention to the regs. They need to submit to the feds to have their rig approved.
That's correct.
Well,
when they go to certain things,
they're not going to be flying at that level in those categories, so they're not. It's nothing they're going to have to worry about. That's
correct. Yeah, it would be very unusual to fly any of these FPV rigs under Category 4. Okay, that won't happen.
So unusual, not even a consideration.
That's right. Where these FPV rigs will be flying is under Part 107 for daytime operations and nighttime operations.
Yep.
So that's where they're going to have to comply.
And the FAA is not watching us, okay? I want to...
Much.
Well, really not hardly at all, yeah. Not very much at all. The only time that any one of us would get the attention of the FAA is if someone makes a complaint.
That's for the most part.
Just like you call the police, they have to show up for whatever you complained about, whether it's noise next door or the neighbors down the street drag racing. It doesn't matter. They have to show up. The FAA has to do the same thing. However, the FAA has no law enforcement capabilities at all.
No. Whose law enforcement arm do they use?
Well, it depends on who they have available. They'll use the county sheriff. That would probably be their go-to. They will use the state police, and they will use local police last, actually, I'm going to guess. But the state police, I believe, would be their first choice. The county sheriff would be their next choice, and the local police would be the next choice after that. Now, I know that the county here, because I've been to the sheriff's office and talked with the guy that flies drones for the sheriff's department here. He teaches a class at the school, and if they use the sheriff's department here, this guy's going to know his shit because he's a 107 pilot and he flies for the lawman, right? So, but the FAA has no law enforcement branch. They're a regulatory branch.
That's
they
right.
are only regulatory. They write the rules. Somebody else has to enforce them. So
and they only write the rules after the Secretary of Transportation tells them to.
Or the Department of Defense.
Yep.
That's the two places that get on the FAA.
Yeah, they kind of go around them too.
Well, yeah.
But there is one other law enforcement branch that the FAA can use, and that's Department of Homeland Security. So you got to kind of keep that in mind as well. If you are anywhere near airports or the borders or anything like that, They're not even going to call the county sheriffs. They're going to call out Homeland Security.
Or critical infrastructure, dams, power plants,
DHS
things of that nature.
That's correct.
What's
right,
Dre?
DHS.
Yep. Absolutely.
And they don't have lights and sign. They just pull up in black sedans.
Yep.
That is correct.
Yep.
Same thing with customs enforcement as well. They are the same way. So
anyway, maybe we'll do a part 2 in a week or two.
See how this all sheds out.
The 21st is 10 days away. So I have time for another live stream before the 21st. And then the following weekend, I'll do another one. Of course, I'll do one every weekend. But maybe after the 21st, we'll get back together, the three of us, and we'll do another panel like this, because I'm just wondering how many people or how many drone incidents we're going to see on the news after the 21st, because everybody thinks they can fly over people.
Yep. I think that is a valid thing.
That's going to be very interesting. A lot of people are excited about being able to fly over people in this new rule. And unless they understand and really read the rules, they will learn quickly that they can't fly over people.
That's right.
At this moment, even on the 21st, on the 21st, when it goes into effect, you cannot fly over people, open assembly, anything.
Nope.
Period.
No, because it's not remote ID compliant yet.
Unless it's in an enclosed facility, like
That's
a
right.
closed
enclosed
stadium with a roof on it, enclosed warehouse, any kind of enclosed building where you're flying indoors.
If anybody remembers, the Drone Racing League had their big thing down in Chase Stadium down there in Arizona. You know, down in Phoenix. That would be allowed.
Yep.
So,
and that would be the only time you can fly over people. And even then, those people have to be notified that there's drone operations going on.
That is correct.
So, I hope some people in the chat and that came to the live stream tonight enjoyed the information. I hope that all y'all that might watch this video in the future,
go hit the thumbs up, guys. You got a lot of good information, okay?
And share the video. Make this video go viral, y'all. Make it.
Because we know Lon doesn't go and read the regs. He waits for us to tell him.
Yeah, Lon doesn't know a damn thing. You know, he's got to be told everything. Anyway.
Oh, guy.
So, yeah, after the 21st, let's see here. Let me look real quick at the calendar. I got a calendar right here handy. Would be the 25th. So the 21st is a week from Wednesday, so it's 10 days away. And then the 25th, so that gives them Thursday, Friday, Saturday to get on the news. So let's see how many people get busted for flying over people illegally.
And you know it's going to happen in the bigger cities, such as LA area proper, Dallas, Fort Worth,
now, let
Miami.
me also say the flying over people thing also includes now moving traffic. You can transverse over moving traffic. You can't hover over it. You can't sit over it, but you can transverse over it now. And I'm glad they figured that out, because if you're crossing a road that's got cars moving on it, your forward momentum, if your drone quits, it's probably going to end up on the other side of the road. You know, I mean, realistically, right?
Depending on how high you are, you're either going to end up on the other side of the road or in the face shield of the car coming the other direction.
Yeah.
One or the other.
And there's been some studies done with State Farm Insurance and stuff that it takes quite a bit of an impact with a very heavy aircraft to come through the windshield of a car, because most people don't realize it. Windshields of cars are a little better than a 1/4 inch thick glass. They're two pieces laminated together,
or more.
No, they're two pieces laminated together with a sheet of plastic that you can't tear with your hands. If you delaminate glass and take the plastic sheet that's in between there, you can't tear it. It just stretches and stretches and stretches. You have to actually cut it. So that's how windshields are made. They're not tempered glass. They're laminated, two pieces together with a sheet of plastic in the middle, and that stuff is, I'm going to tell you, some kind of tough, all right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Mel, you used to drive trucks. You know, how many times you see a tire go through a windshield?
Oh, I've seen all kinds of things go through windshields.
Yeah. But it took one heck of an impact to do it.
Absolutely. So, the point is that you can come the 21st, you can fly over moving traffic. You can transverse over a roadway with moving traffic. You no longer have to stop and wait and let the cars go by before you do yours. So if you're doing a orbit on a grain tower in town, you can do your orbit and shoot your video, and you got nothing to worry about now after the 21st.
That's right.
But over unprotected people, you can't do it yet. So be very, very careful, please.
Yep.
Dre?
Definitely.
Last comments?
I'm expecting my Maverick Enterprise Advanced to show up this week. So I'll be breaking that out with a video hopefully by next weekend, hooking that up to my Firehouse Technology Ground Command Center. And we're going to go take a look at this solar farm, which is about 1,000 feet away from me, and see what it looks like.
There you go.
So I encourage y'all to stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe so you know when that video comes up. And we're going to test out the thermal capabilities of this drone. And like I said, we're going to test it on something what it's built for. Look at thermal.
Yep, there you go.
Nice.
Bill at Metro, no, I have not yet. I plan to do that this next week. I wanted to get it done by today. Excuse me. But this last week has just been, I've been like a cat covering up shit on a hardwood floor, I tell you what. But anyway.
And Dre beat him to it.
And Dre beat me to it. So, this next week, so by my next show, I'll be able to flash my certificate like everybody's doing nowadays, right? Well, that'll be interesting to look forward to, Dre. Chris?
Yeah.
Doc Murdoch, you got anything going on coming up you want to talk about?
In the next month or so, I think I will be going down and getting my currency back up for my Part 61. And when I do, I think I will be going down and doing the test for the Part 61 for the 107. And that way I can have a different insight on what it requires to do that for guys that have their Part 61s.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I have to go do my biennial flight review is what I have to go do.
Right.
So,
okay.
I would like to hear the difference between the Part 61 and 107.
I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about it, and it's mentioned multiple places. So I think it's a good thing to go do and, do it through that process. So that way I can give everybody an insight to it.
There you go. All right, guys. I'm going to stick you in the green room, so stick around for a couple minutes, okay? And
Ooh.
I will.
Well, wait a minute. We'll toke up with you in the green room.
Okay.
We got the hooch.
I'll be right back there with you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's the show for tonight. Almost 2 hours. We put out a lot of good information. We put out 100% accurate information straight from the regulations. I have experience flying manned aircraft. Dre is extremely experienced commercial drone pilot, and Chris has his private pilot's license, known as PPL, Part 61, and he has his 107. So it's all going to be very interesting how a lot of this stuff works out. But knowing that the date got pushed back and changed to the 21st of this month and so on and so forth, I just felt that I wanted to share all of this information with everybody because it's important to know that you can't go fly over people yet. You will get in trouble. You will be able to fly at night. Light your drone well. The better you light it, the better it is, the safer it is. And that when it comes down to it, that's what matters is safety. So as usual, I close my show with, you could have been anywhere, everybody. You chose to be here. I really do appreciate it. Thumbs up, share the video, leave a comment. The links are in the description for Doc Murdoch and Recovery One Drones YouTube channels. Links are in the description for the FAA PDF document, and the link is in the description to go take your recurrent test with the FAA. Thank you very much.